This podcast is brought to you by Orion Pictures Nickel Boys from director Ramel Ross. Based on the Pulitzer Prize-winning novel, Nickel Boys chronicles the bond between two black teenagers who become wards of a Florida juvenile reformatory. AwardsWatch's Sophia Ciminello raved, Nickel Boys is a new American masterpiece. Winner of the Gotham and New York Film Critics Awards for Best Director, Nickel Boys has been named one of the top 10 films of the year by AFI and the best film of the year by IndieWire, Richard Brody of The New Yorker, and Alyssa Wilkinson of The New York Times, for your consideration in all categories, including Best Picture.
Hello, listeners and readers of AwardsWatch.com. This is the AwardsWatch Podcast, episode 265. It's an editors-only podcast, awards podcast today. And joining me is Lady Sophia Ciminello, our associate editor.
Doctor. I am so excited to be here to talk about award season, the Golden Globes, everything in between.
And our leader, editor-in-chief, Erik Anderson.
I can only fix the body, I cannot fix the soul. It's Erik.
You cannot fix the soul. God, it's the best song ever. We are here to talk about the Golden Globe nominations that were announced this morning. We're going to maybe preview a little bit of CCA. That will be later in the week, and talk about the overall awards race. But I did want to jump to something that happened yesterday first, if that is okay, and just get your reactions. Both of you, the Los Angeles Film Critics Association announced their winners, and they were an interesting batch of winners. They've sort of matched up, at least what I kind of thought would happen. But Erik, your thoughts on the LA winners for their critics group now that we have both them and New York out front with all the other critics groups that are starting to trickle in?
Well, I mean, I like them. There were definitely some of my favorites in there, but also, just like New York likes to do, a few little left turns and surprises to kind of raise an eyebrow and get these very stat-driven awards pundits to start wondering, oh wow, do I need to put Mohamed Rasoulof in Best Director, because it's a pretty good alignment. Because yeah, he won for Seed of the Sacred Fig, and not a total surprise of a win because Sean Baker was the runner-up and Anora had won picture. So they were definitely in their roundtable conversations, having that talk of like, can we do this? Are we doing this? Do we have the numbers? Because these are just numbers games for all of these, and a little bit of strategy. We've done that on the Oscar episode podcast, where we're switching out nominees and winners. We use a little bit of strategy. We use a little bit of alliance based conversation.
We're cunning when it comes to that.
You want to get one of your faves in there.
Yeah.
But it's great. I love it. I think obviously the big thing from that day, though, was Marianne Jean-Baptiste's win. She's the first Black actress to win lead here. And it's crazy to think that the Oscars did it before a critics group, because critics groups are generally the more open and willing and just a different group.
Diverse, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that when that came out, it certainly shocked a lot of people. And it is one of those where when you tell somebody and you say, this is the first time it happened, it is not a happy first
shocking
information. It's like, yeah, it's been 49 years.
Jesus. Yeah. When you really put it in that perspective. Sophia, your thoughts on these winners and now having LAFCA alongside New York and where those, because they are kind of a big, you know, things to have to sort of look through the tea leaves of where critics are, at least the big organizations are going to go with support.
Yeah, I think I really like a number of these. My favorite win of the day was probably Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross's win for score for challengers. And The Evil Does Not Exist runner-up mention. Incredible. That's a great category right there. I think another big thing to point out really is that because they just have overall performance categories, they don't break them down by gender like some other critics groups. LA always tries to get cute, and they did again this year by picking 4 men in supporting and 4 women in lead. The second they picked 4 men in supporting, I said, okay, we're not going to have any men mentioned in lead. We were just going, they just did it that way, and it took them about an hour to make that decision. So I knew something was up there. Love your Borisov's win. In addition to Marianne Jean-Baptiste's win, I just am so excited anytime he gets mentioned. I think that's just a fabulous supporting performance. But if we think of this group, I mean, every single year, I think they try to be a little bit different or go against the grain. Go against New York also is another thing. They like very much to do their own things. And I think, here, New York going with the Brutalist and LA going with Honora makes a lot of sense. And last year, they relegated Lily Gladstone to supporting instead of putting her in lead. They famously gave Everything Everywhere All at Once and Tar a tie in Best Picture. They gave Small Axe a series of films their Best Film prize. So they're known to do things a bit differently. But it is a major critics group that we need to pay attention to. But, someone missing a win here or getting one here doesn't necessarily mean that they're bound for Oscar glory. I think Marianne Jean-Baptiste will be a really interesting one to talk about, I think, as we head into our Golden Globes discussion too, and the interesting journey that she's had this award season.
I thought it was a really LA LAFCA, a bunch of, wins and their runner-ups, and the Brutalists had a very strong day. Honora obviously had a very strong day. Those seems to be the two films that dominated. Both of those having kind of crossovers. A real pain-winning screenplay alongside Culkin was is a wink to what a lot of things I think are going to be seen throughout the season as well. Flow is becoming a dominating film inside the animated categories amongst critics groups. It's done extremely well for itself, which is a little shocking because of the response for Wild Robot and and the success of Inside Out 2, and for that small film to sort of beat these bigger films, it's significant, and it helps it down the road to, I'm not saying to win an Oscar, but to land a nomination at this point seems to, to very much help that film.
Well,
It's
Flow and No Other Land,
Yeah.
being that combined.
Oh, and All We Imagine Is Light too.
Yeah, and I think what I was thinking too with No Other Land and Flow is that also repeated at the European Film Awards.
Mhm.
So it is an interesting combined package that I think we're going to see a few times throughout the season.
Well, Sophia, you did the write-up for the European Awards, and I mean, you've mentioned them a couple of times over the last couple of weeks, and they are a great precursor to look at in terms of where we can get international voters sort of support. And that played obviously into the factor today that we'll talk about with the Golden Globes. Could you just speak to a little bit about what the ceremony and it's, I think, a dominating day for Amelia, which it needed?
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway that I saw watching, the results of the European Film Awards really is that Amelia Perez exactly matched Anatomy of a Fall's wins. Exactly. All of the same categories. And so that if we're looking at Anatomy of a Fall's presence last year, its success really overall, the fact that they performed the exact same way there with that crowd tells you that this is in fact a serious contender. And I made that statement previously a few times based on nominations, but now I'm making it based on wins and actual industry academy support. And I think it'll be interesting when we talk about Best Actress in a Comedy or Musical, that's suddenly a very competitive category. I think more competitive maybe than people are thinking. So yeah, that was my big takeaway from that. And then the other one was that Isabella Rossellini gave a really beautiful speech with her tribute for her contributions to world cinema. So I think she is very much also in the supporting actress race. Got a big standing ovation. She's so charming and warm and delightful. So those were my two big things I wanted to call out from that.
Erik, I know that you had a thought on Flow real quick, but then if you could also give your
Oh
thoughts
yeah,
on the European awards.
yeah. It's the flow thing was just it's giving me Flea very much a few years ago, which did the exact same thing and was even almost looked like it was going to get a Best Picture nomination, but it did make history by getting 3 across the 3 different genre based, if you can call it that, Oscar categories. But it wasn't a winner. It wasn't going to be able to stand up against the studio film. So I just sort of had that kind of feeling about it.
It is that alternative pick if they don't want to go with the more studio friendly.
It would be the right pick. It is the
well, yes. I mean, it's not just because you're biased and have cats and everybody on this call has cats and everything, but it's also I know that it was the film forever. That I know that Erik saw. There was the one film we didn't see with you that you sobbed uncontrollably this year.
I'll tell you this right now. It is a good thing for you and me and everyone around that I did not see that in public.
Yeah.
It was not pretty.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, it's like literally seconds in, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Seconds in. And I was done. I was toasted.
There you go. Yeah. European awards, though. What did you think of
them? Honestly, they went exactly as I expected them to go. And really, we've been here since Cannes. We've been here since May. And there's too many people, again, that are letterbox scores, audience scores. Oh, no. And they focus on the wrong things, and then it's too late. And then we are in a place where we are now with all of these EFA wins, with the Globe nominations we're going to talk about in a little bit. And this is the race that we knew was coming. We've already been here. Mm-hmm. I do also love the Isabella Rossellini thing too, because she's kind of an OG Nepo baby, but she is leaning in.
Oh, yes,
about her parents in every speech, in every interview, and doing it in a way that is reverent,
sweet,
and that establishes really her place in Hollywood history in a way that is, this is how you do it, kids. If you come from a place like this, there is a way to do it, and she's doing it exactly right.
Yeah, she's campaigning well. She knows she's got a chance. Yeah, it's not over just yet. Okay. I mean, Sophia and Erik kind of summed up my thoughts on it. It was a domination by Amelia Perez, and it's not surprising at all. And we knew it was coming. It was just a matter of when they're going to hand those trophies over to them. And then the Amelia clan flew all the way over for some meaningless awards last night, and then we went over to this, which is the Golden Globes this morning. So a lot to discuss, a lot of great, wild, crazy things. I want to, before we get into them, a lot has talked and changed about the Globes over the last couple of years. I don't think, and maybe you guys can agree or disagree with me, this does not feel like the old Golden Globes. Now, there are a couple of things that are very Globey individually, but overall, this felt like a Globes that were putting down a challenge to people, especially in Best Director. It felt like a challenge to the industry that we can get into and talk about. But Erik, what were your overall thoughts just of these nominations by the Hollywood Foreign Press this morning? Because I think that they were quite surprising and fun and great.
I think they were kind of like any major awards nominations where there are big surprises and really big snubs. Definitely, though, for the Globes, the last few years have been the most tumultuous of their 82-year history in having to try and separate themselves from the very bribe-driven past that has gotten them the negative press that they've received. And to be honest, I think they have done a pretty spectacular job of doing what was asked of them. And that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be scrutinized every year for certain things that might look a little suspect. That's just how it is. If
But
somebody
that's also
cheats on you and you forgive them, everything seems a little bit red flaggy all the time. So
Yeah.
you just have to be, looking out. But I will say the increase of, these 90 voters that had to be LA based to 300, which can be anywhere in the world, removes a good amount of that really kind of in-person meet and greet, dinners and gifts based kind of things. So I think that's going to get us closer to a more honest Golden Globes. I do, on the other side, though, think that the addition of categories now being 6 spots instead of 5 cheapens that a bit.
Yeah.
Because five has value. 10 has value even, but 5 really, really does. When you do 6, and especially in these lead categories, which are split, giving us 12, you're really just kind of doing a little bit of Critics' Choice and you're hedging your bets so that you can kind of look like you're getting a little bit of everything in there. But so I'm not a big fan of that.
You can also tell though who's the 6th though in every category.
Sometimes you can, and you most definitely, for motion picture drama, we have 2 things where that's all they got. That does not happen.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened in a really, really long time. So I doesn't feel good. I don't like that.
I didn't like it either. I could definitely tell where the number 6 was in that one. Sophia, your thoughts on just your overall thoughts on the Globes?
Well, I think some of when we think back to the old Globes, we do have to consider that some of the biggest snubs were for Black actors in particular. We didn't see, Clarence Macklin for Sing Sing. We didn't see Danielle Deadweiler for The Piano Lesson. Nickel Boys, the only mention being in film. No Anjanou Ellis-Taylor. Neither Brandon Wilson. Not that they were going to get in necessarily, but you start to see things like that. And of course, Marianne Jean-Baptiste. Yeah. When we have 12 spots for actress, 6 in drama, and she's hitting everywhere, that feels wrong to me and feels weird. And then you also have Sing Sing, which had an incredible week last week, missing drama. That was a big surprise, I think, in favor of September 5, which I think just this film just keeps coming up in the most random ways here and there, getting an editing tie win yesterday with the LA critics and then appearing here in drama. I thought that was, I don't know, it was odd. And also Ramel Ross missing in director. That was my big disappointment for the morning. I would say, outside of another acting inclusion that ties into one of my pleasant surprises, which is challengers overperforming and getting score and song nominations. We thought Zendaya was a possibility. I'm sad Josh O'Connor didn't appear. I thought he might with the performance of the film overall. But yeah, I think my other big highlight of these nominations is that The Brutalist is really strong, and getting 7 nominations feels like a big deal, and not just 7 nominations, but really maxing out. Yeah. It hit everywhere it could have hit, which, that being my favorite movie of the year, is really, really exciting.
It's almost like people like it and want to watch it.
People like it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. There was that awards show that you lightly mentioned last night. It's funny that people, said that people secretly hated this movie, but it seems like people don't really hate it, or don't secretly hate it at all.
No, it's like they said the same thing about the Best Picture winner last year. Huh. It's like maybe you shouldn't take him seriously. Anyway, I think that I think he I think that there's actually an even bigger, like, Challengers having a big morning. That was a little bit surprising. I think O'Connor, though, sadly, because the idea of pushing him as supporting, even for like CCA voters, like, I've still been struggling as to, do I put him in lead? Do you put him in supporting? If they would have
He's
just
a
run
lead
those,
for sure.
if you would have just run him in lead, I think he gets in, but I think that there's a little bit of that with him. And yes, the Brutalists had a wonderful morning. We cannot bury the lead. Amelia
No.
Perez carried this morning, 10 nominations, a historic moment for Netflix, for that film. After, honestly, guys, they, in the last 48 hours, have had a great bounce back from, I mean, obviously the first wave of this was not going to be a great wave, and we weren't predicting Amelia to have a very strong presence at, what the LA critics of the, or the New York critics, or definitely it didn't have anything at Gotham. But the AFI top 10 mention, leading to the European Film Awards, leading into the Golden Globes, Amelia Perez is still a strong contender, regardless of what people think of it, like Eric, you were mentioning. And the other big one that is, I think, even more surprising than Amelia, because you could probably have predicted most of what Amelia could have gone, is The Substance, which I was absolutely shocked this morning that The Substance kind of maxed out as well.
That's an understatement.
I mean, might as well just throw in Dennis Quaid while you're at it.
I was going to say, the only other thing would have been Dennis Quaid.
I guess the score. No, not the score.
I do love the score, actually, though. I do love the score.
Rafferty, that score is fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. But guys, like, this is what I meant by giving other major telecasts excuses to vote for something like The Substance, than in other categories, other than Demi Moore, which is what we had kind of seen from the Gothams to the Indie Spirits to critics groups. Like, how big of a deal are these? What is it? 5 nominations this morning for it. That's huge. It's huge. That director category is, by the way, a wild category for what missed and what we kind of predicted, which is The Substance having a better morning than Wicked. All does kind of feel right in the world this morning. So you guys, let's talk about that. Yeah. Well, no one's mourning those Wicked losses, by the way.
That is a perfect example of the old Globes versus the new Globes, because the old Globes never would have put The Substance in director and
screenplay,
maybe not even picture, and not in screenplay. That group of 90 never would have done that. Maybe Demi Moore, just to be able to meet her, but yeah,
shake a hand.
But yeah, Wicked getting 4. And I posted that today, and people were like, what else should it have gotten? I'm like, well, director for one. John Chu would have been a pretty classic Globesy director pick, like a Baz Luhrmann, or just like
an Aaron Sorkin,
kind of guy that gets in here and not DJ and Oscars or wherever else.
Jonathan Bailey.
Yeah, I mean, that was outside, and I did predict him because I really figured that Wicked was going to do 6. Seems like
6 seemed like right,
pretty easy for it.
Yeah.
So we are in a really different Globes world today,
and we're lucky to be living in it.
Oh my God!
please no.
Hell yeah.
But that woman's world ties in nicely with The Substance, I
Bingo.
suppose. But one of the things that I've been talking to people about The Substance, because I have been, I think, predicting it and trying to say, like, this can happen and this is a thing that can happen. Like, it's not a stupid prediction. And it's hard, because what I've been saying is that I get the horror bias and I understand genre bias, but I also understand that there are some films that break through because of a few different things. One, social commentary and timeliness. Like this is a film that has that, for me, get out thing that people cling to and understand. And not that's there are other comparisons with that don't work, but the social commentary part does. And the other piece of it is the international appeal.
Yeah.
That's a huge piece of it too. Its performance at Cannes, again, the European Film Award nominations, like those things are really important, and I think can take it over the line. It's also made money. It should have, I wish they would have submitted it for that box office achievement
I was
award.
going
That
to
would have been
say
fun.
that's actually more of a box office, uh, like that's an achievement for a movie like that to, then like, I mean, by the way, stupidest category ever.
They're not
Dumb.
even living by their own parameters.
Yeah.
I mean,
With not having Dune in there.
Yeah,
Because
like
you're supposed to have 100 million US domestic.
Yeah.
That's sort of that's the foundation.
how does Dune not get in that?
I saw that Dune didn't submit.
Oh,
For that,
interesting.
Yes, I did see that Dune did not submit for
I
that.
missed that.
Oh, that's, no, that's
I-
not smart.
Yeah, saw that according to a voter on Twitter. So
What do we think's going to win
um,
that? Inside Out 2? Right?
Oh, it's still
Wicked.
it's still gonna be Wicked.
It's still
I
going to be
think
Wicked.
that's Wicked's Barbie moment.
Even
Yeah.
yeah,
This
which
whole
is
thing
what
is
it's
the
very
whole
Barbie.
thing is Barbie 2.0
I
for
called that like
for a lot of
couple
people.
weeks ago.
We
Yeah.
saw it just last
we all
night.
saw that. Yeah, I mean it's exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's been kissed to death in the last 24 hours. But I think, I mean, obviously it's just the Globes. So like, obviously Wicked could still do very well for itself. But if this is where a lot of those, people who predicted it to win Best Picture wanted the train to start, always got to love the train, like a Carey Mulligan train or something like that. And this is where the train were like, oh, John M. Chu's going to get it. And this and this and this. It's like this Globe said, no, these movies, three other movies in its category are a stronger comedy or musical film and performances wise overall than Wicked. That doesn't mean like it can't win these Globes. It obviously could. But this morning, Amelia Perez, Honora, which had another great morning, which a lot of people were worried about Honora. And a lot of people were like, can a Sean Baker movie get nominated? Is it the front runner? And it was da 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 da. And again, we're riding waves, folks. We're riding these waves throughout this season. And then, of course, The Substance, which had a great morning. But yeah, Wicked having as many nominations as challengers. Did not have that on the bingo card, which is great. And technically, it's only 3 real nominations for Wicked because the Box Office Cinematic Award is bullshit. And so, I don't like it. And I think it's dumb.
Oh, I have something different to say.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought Eric was going to defend the cinematic box office.
Oh no, I'm not. I would never defend that.
I don't know. It seems like you're kind of your brand.
No, what I want to talk about is how we have 6 nominees for motion picture actress drama. They are all the sole nomination for their films.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there are none of them are in picture as female-led films. Pamela Anderson, Angelina Jolie, Nicole Kidman, Tilda Swinton, Fernanda Torres.
And everyone's favorite, and so is Frances Fisher's favorite.
Oh, wait, no, sorry. I'm Still Here is in non-English. Never mind. She's the only one.
She's the only one.
In drama.
But then Kate Winslet for Lee. Yeah.
Well, Kate Winslet getting a Golden Globe nomination.
We knew that was
I knew this was happening.
That's the most Globe nomination, old Globe nomination of the morning.
Yeah.
For me.
But still, that category
Probably.
being so full of just like single soul nominees that's like old school Oscar voting. It sucks.
I want to talk about some of these acting categories. I think it's kind of hard not to. So let's start with actress. Let's talk about these 2 sets of 6, because I think, Sophia, you were hitting the nail right on the head. Actress in a drama doesn't seem as competitive as this behemoth category, and actress in a musical comedy, which is a bloodbath. I think that bodes very well for Angelina Jolie in Maria. on one side, but then it's like who has the edge over in the musical and comedy category? Because a lot of people would have said it's Mikey Madison's to lose, but then The Substance had a great morning. Obviously, the surgeons of something like Wicked, but then there's Gascon, who is the leader in the morning with Amelia Perez. So, let's talk about actress. What do you think of these? What do you think of these two? And where are you seeing? Where are you leaning right now? You're not predicting yet, but where are you leaning right now? Sophia, yeah.
I think that for, like you said, with drama, it's less competitive, even though I do really love a lot of these performances. I actually still need to see Lee. It's been out for a long time. I've been able to see it for a while, but I have not yet. I will change that soon. But I think that, yeah, if it's important for Angelina Jolie to win this, she's had a pretty rocky critics performance so far with nominations, but I think she can definitely win here. I love that Nicole Kidman is here for Baby Girl, of course. I could also potentially see that happening. There are a lot of ways I think they could go, but I do like these nominees and think Angelina Jolie is probably our front runner here. And needs to be, honestly, if she wants, to be competitive in the Oscar race. With comedy musical, that is the interesting category because I think leading up to these nominations or even last week, I thought this is Mikey Madison's completely to lose, and maybe it still is. That's really possible. She is, if you like Anora, you like her performance, and she really is the highlight of that movie and one of the stars of the season. But they loved Amelia Perez, and Carla Sofia Gascon here makes a lot of sense as a winner for that movie. I think that the reason why I didn't think so before is because I was banking on Zoe Saldana being the key win all along, but if they like the movie, they probably like Carla's performance too. And then you have Cynthia Erivo, who, despite Wicked's underperformance in the morning, I think, she has, you could make the argument for her, you can make the argument for Demi Moore. That's why this category is so exciting. But I do think I would still be between, or say it's between, Mikey and Carla here.
Okay. Yeah, and then Zendaya's the five, and
Yeah,
and
I
Amy
do love
Adams.
Zendaya's performance, of
Yeah,
course, and I like Amy Adams too. I think it's a strong group,
she
but it's
is.
just interesting how the conversations have changed or are starting to
Mhm.
shift,
She
given Amelia and Honora are maybe two of the strongest films in the season right now.
Amy Adams is mother literally in the film, but she's also the sixth in this category. Eric, your thoughts on actress?
Yeah, I mean, I think the musical comedy is a four-person race. It is really quite exciting. I think a review of Gascon, Madison, or more could take this. There is a path for all of them, and they all make sense.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to be waiting literally until the envelope is opened. I don't think there is I don't think there's a way to pick the one you think is going to win and be able to have a strong enough argument that is somehow stronger than the other three that have such a great path too. I do think that's very different when we get to drama, though.
Yeah.
It does feel like Jolie and Kidman are fighting for this and that it's one of them. But I'm not going to count out Fernanda Torres with this group of voters.
Yep.
Again, this is not 90. This is 300 from all over the world. And I swear all you need is like 10 Brazilians in there and she's going to win. That's
And
it.
she can become, or should be, Searchlight's priority very fast.
Sony,
We didn't talk about
Sony.
Sony Pictures Classics. Yeah.
Sony Pictures
Absolutely.
Classics. Because we didn't talk about Saoirse Ronan also missing
Yep.
here for the outrun,
Yep.
which
And
seems
This
like
is
an
kind of the
easy thing for her.
wildest thing about this category is they got Torres and Swinton in, and Ronan, who has been the push for Sony Pictures Classics, absolutely fails here, that was a big surprise.
They also didn't get Julianne Moore for the same film as well. They could have doubled up in The Room Next Door. I know that they weren't. I didn't think it was going to happen, but at least they are running it. That is their campaign.
But Swinton getting in over Ronan is really kind of something.
I do want to get y'all's opinion on, because I think it was Sophia and Eric, you mentioned the Marianne Jean-Baptiste sort of snub this morning on her path, but Fernanda Torres getting in feels like I think that there's a spot for, I don't think that there's a spot at Oscars for both. I think there's a spot for one because of and there might not even be a spot for either, honestly, because of the fact that we talk about those 4 performances in comedy or musical, depending on how well Demi Moore in The Substance continues. You have the fans for Wicked, obviously Amelia Perez and Honora. If you believe Honora's your front runner, then yes, you have to believe that as well. And then also Jolie and Kidman might be battling for that spot. I kind of lean more towards Jolie than Nicole Kidman for that. But, Sony Pictures Classics, you can't count them out. But the bleaker street of it all with Marianne Jean-Baptiste, it kind of hurts it a little bit there, just not having a good studio running it. But you still can't count out Mike Leigh, weirdly enough, in his films. They do tend to surprise with the Academy. So it's
not a surprise. That's one of the non-surprises is being like Mike Leigh getting in screenplay.
Exactly. Right. You know what I mean? And does she carry with it? And so it's going to be, we have 5 spots and there's literally 10 people that could get in, and it's insane. But that's what makes it so kind of great. But I do think the one thing that does bode well into Angelina Jolie's favor for a nomination and even a potential win is, and then I know that people think I'm crazy about this, but they love people that play real life human beings, not just fictional characters. And it's very rare in Best Actress for them to be mostly original characters. And that's, I think, what's going to separate her from everybody else, is that she's doing a transformation into a real life person, into a legend. So, and she is a legend, and it's a movie star performance. And so regardless of what it does get, it's just as formidable as those other 4 women in the musical or comedy category, because it's also Netflix's big priority as well, along with Amelia, because Amelia's thing, and I think that Sophia, you and I have talked about this, I think the overall film is their priority, but for Jolie and how she's been on the campaign already, she is pushing that film hard. And obviously I think it could get into cinematography and other places, but its max out was just Jolie here, for sure. So I want to move over to actor, because actor is we kind of feel like there's 4 actors, or at least 3 actors, that are in a good position in the race, and that's Timothée Chalamet, Adrian Brody, and Ray Fiennes for Conclave. Coleman Domingo in Sing Sing had a horrible day. That movie.
He's there.
He's there.
He's there.
I would say he's the 4th, right?
Oh, he's absolutely.
I think there are 4, not
in.
necessarily 3.
He's in.
I think he's in.
Okay.
I think he's win competitive too.
Absolutely.
Possibly.
I do as well.
I don't think that. But
Okay.
I think the other 3 are more competitive than Sing Sing. But there is that 5th spot that is open. And obviously in drama, they went with Daniel Craig, which kind of is starting to just feel like it might just be Daniel Craig and we're overthinking it. But then there was a double nomination this morning for Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice, followed by another musical or comedy for A Different Man. There's Jesse Eisenberg, which A Real Pain had a strong morning this morning. And then, of course, there's Sophia and Mai's Sleeper still in the race there with Glenn Powell, a hitman, along with Hugh Grant for Heretic, or how the hell that Morris Chestnut said it this morning.
Heretic.
That's
what he said, yeah.
And then Gabriel DeBelle for Saturday Night, and Jesse Plemons, which Sophia would have voted for Kinds of Kindness. So where do we I kind of feel like that's Pals to lose, right?
I don't know.
Eisenberg's
I think it's Eisenberg now. Just
See, I think
how successful
Yeah.
A Real Pain
Yeah.
Yeah.
is and how well it's doing. It
But we
feels
don't think that they'll
easier.
just Culkin's the support for that and
I
he's
think
just carrying a nomination? Like they're not going to give it to both.
Culkin is not carrying Eisenberg here
Mm,
in that. I mean,
mm.
Eisenberg's nomination is absolutely valid
No, it's a valid nom, but like
because he's
he would
really
carry a
good.
win. I think so.
I think it could. There's something very Paul Giamatti about Eisenberg. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
it's like Barney's version, like vibe.
Oh shit.
Something
Yeah.
is percolating.
I think I was talking with our good friend Christina Yerling Biro this morning. Hugh Grant getting in for that's not a comedy, by the way. But
he is funny in the movie, but that doesn't make it a comedy.
No, but he's been out there and he's been, he did the Academy the honoree night for Richard Curtis, and he's been doing interviews and everything. So he's been active out there. I would not be surprised if they threw a curveball and gave it to him. I still would.
It would remind me of when Rosamund Pike won for I Care a Lot.
I Care a Lot. Yeah,
kind of just
like
go
go way out
and
there.
Pick someone they like.
I'd still maybe I'm just putting my 10 toes into the sand, but I think Powell's still going to win this ultimately. It helps that he whether I just think that that's the kind of Globesy type of win that they do for that as well. And he had a big year. Twisters was obviously celebrated in the box office award, and but we'll see. I think that though A Real Pain, it did have a really big morning, but he might also get screenplay. Like that screenplay category is very competitive at the Globes, and it could go many ways. It could go A Real Pain. It could just go to Anora. It could do what, like we talked about with Anatomy of a Fall last year, and it could go the substance route. And that could be very big for the substance to win that one, and he probably will. Yeah. Any other thoughts on actor before we move on?
Comedy or drama?
Either one.
Drama too. Either one.
Yeah, drama. You can talk about it.
I think with drama, it really is like this is the competitive race, or anyone in the race is here, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes, where they go. But I'm happy Daniel Craig is here too. I hope that he can find his way into the Oscar 5 somehow.
Our Oscar 5 is in this 6.
It's in this 6. Well,
yeah. They're in here.
Oh, in the 6 for drama?
Yes.
So you think Stan is the other one fighting for The Apprentice?
No, I don't think. I think Brody, Chalamet, Craig, Domingo, and Fine are our Oscar 5.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
And Sebastian Stan getting in here and having that double nomination was really bolstered by the Variety's Actors on Actors thing that he talked about people not wanting to participate with him to talk about this movie. And I'm not sure he would have gotten in had it that not happened. But on the other side, look what else had an absolutely horrible day today, and that was Gladiator 2.
Yeah, Gladiator.
So Paul Mescal was not in 6th place here.
No, Paul wasn't
not even 7th.
Nope. I mean, that's where we could talk about supporting actor. It was Yuri Borisov for Anora, Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain, Edward Norton for A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce for The Brutalist, Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice, and Denzel Washington for Gladiator 2. So they at least...
Again, Oscar 5 is in this group.
Hell yeah, it is. And it's not with Jeremy Strong. It feels like...
But I am happy the better Roy brother performance is here in this category.
Well, are you sure, Eric, that the Oscar 5 is here? Because we don't have Clarence Macklin and Stanley Tucci missed.
I'm just saying that this could be the Oscar 5 because both the little conclavers missing is interesting. It's kind of
but if
I do wonder if after today, I mean, I know with Sing Sing last week, it was like, oh, what's A24 gonna do? They have Sing Sing and they have The Brutalist, and Sing Sing is surging and everything. But now, looking at it, will they
I mean,
how will they push them? It's in their best interest to push the Brutalist.
it is. It is in their best interest. It was such, I mean, that's the question you have this morning is the Brutalist the favorite going into the night to win Best Picture Drama? It's the most nominated. Brody could easily win. Director is there for the taking as well. Like, its path is very clear to win. I mean, obviously, Conclave has just a similar path but it missed. And going back to what you're saying, Sophia, the Brutalist maxed out, and they watched the film because Felicity Jones was nominated this morning in supporting actress. So that means they watched the film and they loved it. And it's not surprising. They did. I mean, the international, it won Best Director at Venice. So it is not surprising that, it is a more probably international, acclaimed or loved film. And we'll have to see how the rest of the guilds go out, but it did really well this morning for itself.
You know what I've been thinking about with Conclave? And I know, Ryan, you were saying it might be like the holdovers. It's been reminding me a little bit of another movie that who knows if I actually want to talk about, but it reminds me a little bit of Belfast. Like that kind of middle of the road, like middle brow appeal, does well with audience awards at regional festivals, has craft support here and there, acting support as well, but ultimately, like, will it just win adapted screenplay?
Which is very much on the table because of, Sing Sing's underperformance here. That could continue. They're probably, not cool enough to give it to something like Nickel Boys.
I wish.
Hope
and pray.
I mean, I don't believe that's where. I mean, I don't even still believe Amelia is getting in that screenplay category. And again,
I
musical.
Think it is.
Just musical.
I'm
going to stick with it until
I think it is.
I'm going to stick with it until the nominations. I'm sorry. I'm just sticking to my guns because Wicked was proved this morning that it didn't get into there either. So like that's just half the battle right there to just be proven.
I don't think Wicked's getting in, but I do think Amelia's getting
but
in.
But it is like a very original big concept as well. Well, not original, but you know what I mean. It takes swings with it. So it's a lot. Yeah. Obviously it feels very much like a Culkin award at this point. But this is the first televised battle between him and Denzel, and hopefully Denzel comes out the victor.
Is that really a battle?
I mean, one's a great actor and the other's Kieran Culkin. But that's beside the point.
Kieran Culkin is a good actor. I think Washington is lucky
to be here
for real pain.
Oh, I think Washington can still totally win. I'm not putting off the Globes giving it to Denzel Washington.
No,
well, all right. You best of luck with that.
I've seen them do crazier things before in their winners. So
okay.
And remember
that Guy Pearce won the Michigan Critics Award. A little swerve.
I'm just saying, Eric, you were in a room with CCA and Golden Globe voters with Denzel Washington, and he was having the time of his life, and people were loving it. So
the irony of that press conference and Denzel being the only one that gets in after how he was acting with oh my God, that cracks me up.
No, but I feel it's Culkin's. It's a foregone conclusion at this point. Supporting actress might be a little bit different though. We had Selena Gomez, Ariana Grande, Felicity Jones,
Ariana Grande Butera.
Well, not on
her name.
Cool. Ariana Grande, Felicity Jones, Margaret Qualley for The Substance, Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, and Zoe Saldana for Amelia Perez. All right. Is the 5 in here too? Because this was no Daniel Deadweiler.
Yeah, that was a pretty big miss. Obviously, like we mentioned, Anjanou Ellis Taylor, a big miss here.
Mm-hmm.
I've probably underestimated Selena Gomez a little bit. Maybe I shouldn't.
We're gonna give the stands what they want.
Good. Maybe
Selena.
somebody will watch the Oscars then if Selena Gomez gets in.
Well, there you go. But the Brutalist showing up here again, talking about Felicity Jones and Quali. I don't think that those were they necessarily expected for you guys. I was still kind of
Quali,
shocked.
no.
Quali, no.
I even had
Not
Jones
Quali.
just on the outside because
You didn't know.
not everything can get everything
Did they
unless
watch the second half?
Leah Perez.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Sophia?
Yeah. I think Quali was the bigger surprise for me. The others felt, I mean, seeing Felicity Jones's name was, oh, they watched the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, that means it's gonna have a good day.
They liked
That
it.
was that telltale nomination. Um, not to get PTSD from when they did that with America Ferrera with Barbie last year, and I thought that meant a lot, but it didn't at the Oscars. Anyway, Quali's nomination's really exciting. I love that. And she has a fabulous performance in the movie, and I like when they actually go with really cool different picks here. So I know it was probably, I mean, I don't even know if she was sixth though. Maybe she wasn't. Maybe it was somebody else, but I would assume so. So it's, it's sad that it was at the expense of Danielle Deadweiler, who I think is really good in the piano lesson, but I am very happy that she's here.
Yeah. Feels like a 3-person race, I believe. Sadania, Grande, and Rossellini. I think she's the dark horse. She's campaigning.
I
She's
think
got a narrative.
she's the dark horse elsewhere. Like I think I can see her winning. They
No,
her
I'm just
path
talking
to
about
win
overall.
probably.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I'm just talking about overall.
I do wonder though if this is actually where Saldana starts winning, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, we were worried about this all along with the
And
critics.
I think that goes back to what you're saying about, Carla, and she doesn't necessarily have to win that because Zoe is right there. And that is
right.
a big, great performance. But then also that's a place where they could, if they don't want to just give it the stupid box office award, that's where they can also award Wicked. Because for both of those films, those are the high points that people talk about, are those two performances.
And I do like Ariana Grande a lot in Wicked.
She's good. Yeah.
Oh, she's fantastic.
Great.
Yeah. Okay. Director, want to talk about it in full?
Yeah.
All right. Talk about it, Eric.
Well,
I'm giving you the platform. Talk about it. Let's go.
I mean, it's again, it feels like the new Globes.
Yeah.
Coralie Farget and Pyle Capadia both getting in here.
Yeah.
Like that.
I think Capadia is the more surprising one, honestly.
Yeah.
I guess that it is.
Based on how the morning played out.
Well,
I think there is though a push, and we're seeing it pretty clearly already. For All We Imagine Is Light not being picked by India as an Oscar submission, and Seed of the Sacred Fig, and the fleeing of the country that Rosalove had to do and make the film in secret. All of those things. Those are all the things that are pushing those two films kind of above everything else, even above Emilia Perez. Emilia Perez is going to do so well everywhere else that like critics can just focus on those two films, and they really are. And at the end of the day, the Golden Globes are a group of critics and journalists, and very international. So her getting in here is a statement. It's a great pick. It's a cool lineup.
Yeah. Sophia?
yeah, I think it was funny when I was going through my predictions and thinking about what they could do. In the past, I mean, the Golden Globes, like they have nominated women in director and sometimes multiple. A few times they've done that. So that was where I thought, okay, well, who is the other one? Certainly they're not going to go with Pyle Capadia, and then they did. So I was thinking Coralie Farja was a good prediction, and makes a lot of sense here, especially with their love of the film. But I actually really like this group. I think a big snub that people will look at is Denis Villeneuve missing here. I think that if we're looking at populist films or films that have, done really well, he makes a lot more sense here than John M. Chu does. So the fact that he's not here, that does, make me think he's going to be snubbed again at the Oscars, actually. And not that they have voting crossover, but I feel like he needed to get in here, and we have a lot of people in this race, and I don't really know if he's one of them anymore.
I don't know if he's out just yet. I think Dune will bounce back and have a good day. Not that it has crossover at CCA with this group or with the Academy, but I think he'll do good there, and that film will do much better. I think when you start getting into the to the guilds, I think Dune will do well there too. And honestly, can't count anything that big out just yet. It is one of the biggest films of the year. It's also Warner Brothers' big player that they're pushing. I do agree with you though, Sophia. It is a big miss for him. This narrative building for him that he cannot get in for this franchise is building, and but I don't know how far who he would bump out at this point if Carly, if Palia continue to get nominated, will the DGA nominate them? How will they look at how will those films look in more critics groups as well as at CCA? You have Ramel Ross that missed, and Ramel is and that film was very beloved by a lot of critics. And there's also just more room for other films to get in there as well. But of the spectacle films, he seems like the one that if someone does break through, he's still the most likely candidate that I think Chu, or even somebody like who is officially out of the race, which I think is Ridley Scott. That movie is pretty much done outside of some Tex and Denzel. That's really where it is at this point.
And as we discussed before with this category, Villeneuve and Scott are the only previous nominees that are really in the running for a nomination. So we are looking, I think, very, very
and all new five
closely now for a first timers and all first timers lineup.
That's great. Honestly, it really is.
I love that.
It's great. Anything
I think DGA might have something different to say.
Yeah, I think DGA might go for Villeneuve. Honestly, he's been doing.
Or Chu.
I think more Villeneuve, in my opinion, just because he's talked to Christopher Nolan, he's talked to Chloe Zhao, he's talked to the Lord Miller, he's having these Q&As specifically at the DGA in LA and in New York. It's strategic, very strategic move by him. I don't know who's going to sit down at the DGA.
It'll be the battle of the part ones versus the part twos.
There you go.
Really what it is.
I didn't talk about this as a supporting actor, but it just is coming up here because I'm thinking about James Mangold. But Edward Norton getting into supporting actor too. I don't know what to make of A Complete Unknown. I feel like Monica Barbaro, there was still room for her maybe to get into supporting actress. Mangold, I guess, feels like an old Golden Globes nominee a bit, if he would have gotten into director, but keeping an eye on that one as well for guilds. And
I don't necessarily think he would get in. But,
no, I was just thinking about it more with
film,
old Globes.
Yeah.
Film and its weird spotty
for sure
here and there.
No, but it feels like a couple of the performances, Barbaro's still probably lingering around that category in like the 6 to 10 area. And then, Norton and Chalamet are definitely pretty close to in, and at least Chalamet's in. When I don't know about Norton just yet. And then the Tex, it depends on how many Tex that movie ends up getting. Makeup and hair for sure. But I think we know, that's the other thing. I'm willing to say this. I think we know what's winning the Oscar for makeup and hair as of right now. I think The Passion for the Substances might carry it all the way to an Oscar.
So are you saying Demi Moore's going to win?
No.
That would be cool.
I'm not saying she's going to win. I'm not saying she's going to get a win. I'm not saying that. You don't know who I think is going to win. Maybe it's
I'm just saying if The Substance is winning makeup and looking at the last few years, and even years prior. It's a
Yeah,
pretty good combination.
maybe it's Vice. Didn't Vice win makeup and
Vice
then
did win.
yeah. So who knows? Doesn't have to. Maybe
Doesn't
Carrie,
have to, no.
maybe Ed Lockman wins cinematography, and this all just becomes a mute conversation. You never know. You never know.
Wait, what?
Where did that come from?
Well, you're just saying another win helps to me more. Wouldn't that like help
No,
Maria?
you know what we're talking about.
I
We're
know. I'm
talking
just
about
kidding.
lead acting wins and makeup. Good Lord.
I'm just helping out. Anything else you guys want to mention about the Golden Globes? Anything else that you haven't talked about? Snubs. Oh, I'll tell you one movie that just is done. Blitz. On.
Yeah.
Bye. Saoirse.
Yeah.
Run after that Oscar. Bad day for Saoirse. Bad day for Saoirse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blitz really is non-existent.
That's all you can really say about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's rough.
Double snub.
Double snub, indeed. Okay. I think unless Eric, you wanted to talk about anything on the TV side of things. Anything interesting happened over there? I didn't even look it up.
No, I mean it was pretty par for the course. The Bear obviously led. The Globes are a really great place for first season shows. Sometimes more than the Emmys are, and there's a lot of representation there.
Yeah.
But also too because they work on a calendar year versus the Emmys September to June. There are still things like, Baby Reindeer and Ripley going up against Disclaimer and things that
And the
will
Penguin.
be at next year. Yeah, and Penguin next year's Emmy. So it's never a 1-to-1 for SAG and Golden Globes with the Emmys because the eligibility windows are different.
Yeah.
And
Sophia,
Jake Gyllenhaal got in for Presumed
And
Innocent.
Jake Gyllenhaal got in.
yeah. Sophia, thoughts on Kathy Bates getting in for Matlock?
That made me laugh. I have to say when I heard her name.
That was such an easy nomination, though.
Yeah.
That was the thing I heard from my dad this morning about the nominations, and I was like, that tracks.
Honestly, my dad too. He had a lot of thoughts, but that was one of the
people love
one of the
People are
categories.
loving Matlock. It got renewed for a second season. There you go. Okay. Oh, by the way, big morning too for the score and also for animated feature. I feel like Wild Robot had a better morning this year. The score category was everybody in Vocal Bergerman. So there you go.
Yeah, Wild Robot got 3. So
Yeah.
it got song, score, and animated. It's wonderful.
Mhm.
Oh, well, technically it got 4, didn't it? With the
What did it
cinematic achievement.
I don't count that. I count that outside of the regular nominations. I give it the and.
Oh, the
3
and
plus 1.
Yeah,
plus one.
It's a plus 1.
Sophia, will you watch all of Deadpool and Wolverine now that it is a Golden Globe nominee?
Where did it get nominated?
The box office and cinematic
No.
achievement.
Then
Okay.
no. I was going
just watch
to
the two. Just watch the 2 Like a Prayer sequences. That'll
Okay.
you'll chuck your TV out the window.
So funny story briefly. I attempted to watch Deadpool and Wolverine over the weekend and I made it approximately 6 minutes before wanting to turn it off, but my remote actually on Disney Plus wouldn't let me. It said you can't leave until the program has officially started. And I said, "Oh wow, it hasn't even started yet and I want to exit." That bodes well. So I don't think we're going to get anywhere with that one.
We'll make it happen. Don't worry, folks.
I really hope it doesn't get nominated for an Oscar because then I will have to watch it because I am a completionist there, but
There's a lot of makeup in it.
Yeah. Special
visual
effects. Yeah.
That's how I end up watching half of the MCU movies every year. It's just
Sound.
because they get nominated there.
Sophia,
Sound.
can you tell everybody where they can find you and all your work on the internet, and also just tease what you think is winning Best Picture Drama and also Best Picture Musical or Comedy?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Sophia_Sim, Letterboxd at Faye Dunaway. You can find my podcast where we will release an episode on the Golden Globes and award season also this week. So if you want to hear more on that, go find that wherever you listen to podcasts. And then you can find reviews, interviews, more podcasts at AwardsWatch. I have some exciting ones coming up. My predictions for motion picture drama, I am going with The Brutalist, a la The Power of the Dog a few years ago, and musical or comedy, I'm going Amelia Perez.
Okay.
Boring, but going with the nomination leaders.
Erik.
You can find me at awardswatch.com, on Blue Sky, Letterbox, Instagram at AwardsWatch, and Twitter awards_watch. I think this is really tough. I think drama is between Brutalist and Conclave. This could be where Conclave starts running things.
Conclave.
So I think I will actually say, for right now anyway, Conclave. And same with musical or comedy. I think it's between Anora and Emilia Perez. And I think each are as almost as likely as the other, because they both did really max out what they could get.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to lean Anora.
Mm-hmm. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterbox, Blue Sky at Ryan McQuade 77. You can find all my work here at awardswatch.com. If you like podcasts, Thursdays we release Director Watch, and this week we are starting a brand new movie series over the films of Nancy Meyers. Christina Yearling-Biro will be on with us to talk about the Disney classic, The Parent Trap. So I'm super excited about that. 5 stars on iTunes, Spotify. Greatly appreciate it. While you're over on the website, please sign up for the newsletter. It's a great place to get all of your news, reviews, interviews, podcasts, and just everything during award season right now. Sign up for the goddamn newsletter that Erik puts together every single week, or at least when he remembers. Drama. Oh, I got to split the difference here. I could just go with complete unknown and just really mess with things. No, I'm going to go with The Brutalist. I think that they watched it, and that's a sign. That's a sign for that movie.
I love that. That's the sign.
That's
Like,
no. Honestly, they watched it and they liked it.
It is literally the film's obstacle.
Yeah, no,
you got to watch it.
You got to watch it, and if you watch it and then it starts winning, that means if it starts winning things, people will then be forced to watch it and have an opinion on it. Emilia Perez, yes. Anora. I mean, obviously the Substance and Wicked are very strong contenders, I think, there as well. But I'm gonna go with Anora for now. Nope. I'm gonna go with Emilia Perez. I'm gonna go exactly with Sophia. Just because that's the right way. Right, Sophia?
I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, bingo. Anyway, we'll be back next week with a new podcast. We'll be doing like a review roundup, talking about a couple of these films that are late breaking in the year, and then in 2 weeks we'll be talking about our best movies of the year. So thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you all next time.